Alright guys, what's up and welcome to today's video. Today is gonna be a little bit different. Usually I show you some nice comps and how to play them, but today we're gonna play purely flexible. And if you clicked on this video, then you probably know what that means, and you also know that it's really difficult. So if you're lower elo, then I don't really recommend doing this. But of course you can do whatever you want, so let's hop right in. So as always, we start at the first augment section here, and yeah, the middle one is just too inflexible. It forces us into a comp, and cybernetic implants is pretty good later, but in the beginning you have almost no items, so we're definitely gonna pick weak spot here. Okay, so for the early game here, there are two choices pretty much. We could definitely just sell the bruises and play 3 innovators, and maybe it's actually even a better opening in hindsight. But I put in the 2 bruises and the clockwork, so that's just the opening. Our items are also kinda awkward. I usually like to slam at least 1 item before the first fight. But yeah, we have 2 BFs and 1 belt, so I could make a Seeks. I definitely don't make a Deathblade, don't ever make a Deathblade. But I could make a Seeks, but then again I can't make like IE and Giant Slayer and stuff like that, or GA, so BF is just too valuable to waste it on a 6, I think. Or at least it feels pretty bad. So I skipped some early game fights here, because not a lot of people seem to enjoy to watch them, and I personally find them pretty boring too, so let me know what you think. Okay, so we got some nice tryharding going on in our game right here, so we go to level 5 at the last second, and the reason you want to do this is because the other guys at 100 HP, they are probably level 4 and they may have the goal to go 5, but maybe they think, I can beat the other guys that are on, so only level 4 and I look stronger. So you go 5 at the last second, put something strong in and they can't react, and you win and keep your win streak. So we put in this random Twisted Fate 2, it doesn't really matter what you put in as long as you put something in, and you're 1 level up, so you're gonna win. And I replace it by this Graves because I think Graves 2 in the early game is really strong, and yeah, I just love it. And Twisted Fate is also good, but I really like the disarm from the Graves and the extra frontline. Yeah, it's just a nice unit. And we got the chain from Carousel, so now we can make the Sunfire, which is a really good early game item and it should preserve our streak. And we're also sitting at 5 with more than 10 gold, which is pretty good. You could be below 10 here and still be fine if you're having a win streak. So us having more than 10 gold here and still a really nice win streak and a strong board, it's just a pretty good position. It's actually so good that it allows us to go level 6 here before Crux. Now this is kind of wild, but I think it's worth it, and I'm pretty sure this guy is also very strong. Can't see his little legend, but his team looks pretty nice, and let's see if the level actually made a difference. So looks like we probably could have won either way, and I really don't do this a lot, but we just had the money and we're on a 5 streak, and after Crux I'm pretty sure our team is still strong enough, and yeah, we had 20 gold after Crux, I mean assuming we win here. And so yeah, I'm just gonna slam some items, make a Giant Slayer. It's always a flexible item, it's pretty good, it can go on a lot of people. So yeah, you want to be flexible, but you also want to have like some carries in mind, you know. You can't just slam like statics and then you slam a blue buff and then you slam like Infinity Edge, you know. The items have to kind of make sense. So a Giant Slayer is just my favorite flexible item because it can go on AP carries or AD carries, so that's pretty good. And it scales nicely into the late game, which you are most likely gonna see because you're just win streaking and you're gonna push levels pretty fast, so you're probably maybe even only gonna roll at 8 and hit a legendary unit as your item holder, so you're playing for late game with your win streak. You're not just trying to top 4 before Raptors and go out, so I think Giant Slayer is a pretty nice item. So right now I mainly want to maintain my win streak, and other than that, maybe go level 7 if I feel like I have to. I mean, there's one other guy who is on a big win streak, so gotta be careful. And this fight actually looks really dangerous. Can we win this? Not sure. It's really close. Oh, that disarm is dirty. Oh, that disarm was dirty. So we lose a streak here, but at least we are at 30, so it should be fine. Kind of sucks obviously, but let's see, what's our second augment? So from these, underdogs is pretty bad because we're leveled, so it was really between the other two. And I think Celestial Blessing is just more consistent than Thrill of the Hunt. I mean, you have to get a kill and it only heals the person that kills the unit, so yeah, Celestial Blessing is just more consistent I think, so I like it more than Thrill of the Hunt. So I also replaced the Vi with a Trundle, mostly because I want to transfer the Sunfire to my 2-star unit, because they're gonna live longer and can do more damage with Sunfire. And it was between Illaoi and Graves. As I said, I really like Graves and I think actually lives pretty long, but it's Illaoi because of the Bruiser buff, so she should just be able to live a little bit longer. So a nice thing is we are still winning because our team is so strong. And let's see what we can get here. A bow, okay. Yeah, since we built a Giant Slayer, yeah, as I said, you can play AP or AD, but it's better on AD, so I take a bow and maybe try to go some AD comp. Gonna come back to what I said earlier. If you're gonna play flexible, you can't just make random items that make no sense together. So I take a bow here and just have in mind some items as some options if you try to play flexible. So with the bow I can make like maybe Giant Slayer and Runans and Last Whisper, or I can make Giant Slayer IE Last Whisper for Jhin, or I can play Fiora maybe with Giant Slayer and Titans and yeah, whatever else, maybe a GA. So gotta have some options in mind if you want to be flexible. That's the most important and the most difficult thing, to just don't do random bullshit, go, but actually try to find some units or find a carry that you want to play later. And that's the main difference. You can play whatever, but have something in mind for later. And if you play normally, you try to build your comp from the get-go. So if you try to play Yone, maybe you're gonna put your, I don't know, your items on Warwick or Quinn or whatever, and you already play some challenges. But if you're gonna play flexible, you can play whatever. I mean, look at our team. We're playing like Bruiser, Challengers, Crab, Clockwork, like that's so random. But it's just strong units and it works. Okay, so I left this part in to show you that you probably shouldn't be tempted by this double Zag, because it's just too expensive. And yeah, don't buy that. Because the only thing that it does for you is that it locks you into Urgot. And you can't play anything else in Urgot, because you picked up 2 Zags, it's 6 gold. And yeah, so you now have to play Urgot because you already wasted gold and you have a Bruiser for him. And I didn't like that, so I kept rolling after Wolves. And I find this Braum too, which is really nice, and I find 2 Fioras, so maybe potentially I'm playing Fiora. I also picked up a Taric to see the Socialite hacks, and it's in the first row. That's kind of dangerous for Fiora, but it's also okay, like it can work if she gets her ult off, or if I can make a GA, she should be fine. And I know Socialite has been nerfed, but it's just so good anyway. If you're gonna play flexible, you're most likely gonna have 3 Socialite or 2 Socialite in the end game anyway. And so it's important to scout the Socialite hacks whenever you can. Like if you get an early Taric, you probably don't want to play it because it's too expensive. But pick it up anyway, put it on your board, look where the Socialite hacks is, and see and build your comp around it. Okay, so we got Fiora 2 at level 7, which is really nice, but we also had pretty much gold, so I mean, it's a little bit lucky, but it's also not that surprising, like it can happen all the time. So we're gonna transfer the items now. So we did put the Giant Slayer on her, and now my items are kind of awkward. And I don't really know what else to put on her, so let's see what we can do with those items. Because remember, we want to stay flexible and we don't want to wait like another 5 rounds to get our perfect items, so we're just gonna make something. And I'm actually quite sure that I lost this round because I didn't make it sooner. So maybe if I had just slammed the items, I could have actually won that round. So always make your items if you're playing flexible. Main items for Fiora are pretty awkward here, because I kinda need 2 chains to make a GA and the Titans. But I could have slammed like something, maybe a Rageblade on Yone, or maybe just an Archangel for, I don't know, some legendary later, maybe Kai'Sa or something. So I think the only reason why I didn't do that was because of Fiora 2, and I thought Fiora 2 is just gonna be strong enough to win anyway. But it's not worth it, and that's definitely one mistake of this game. Oh yeah, there we go. So I make the Rage Blade now on Yone, a little bit late, but at least I do it. Okay, since we got Orianna too, I make a Sojin here, so maybe she can cast more often. And yeah, while you may be like thinking, ooh, but that's not ideal, and Orianna is not your carry, and that may be true. But yeah, okay, she casts here, and that's a lot of CC, and just makes my team stronger for now, and that's all I want. Because pretty much your main goal while playing flexible is to just overpower your opponent that much that you can just save up way more money than them, and then just go 8 or go 9 way before them, and just put strong units in your team that they can't deal with. Doesn't matter that your items aren't perfect, but you just have so much more gold and so much more of a better team that you're gonna win anyway. Okay, so here we are kind of doing like some calculations how much 3% of Fiora's HP is in damage, and it's like 5 damage or 4.5, and that's not really worth it. But what are my other options? Like broken stopwatch, obviously no. And the other thing is makeshift armor, and then I have 3 units that don't have any items, and later probably even less units without items, because I'm gonna make like Shroud or Zephyr if I can get it, and I really don't like the augment, so I take it a little bit of extra damage, and maybe I can even find something to make her tankier and get more value. And it gives value to my other units as well, so while it's not great, it's still better than the other two, I think. Oh, and yeah, we go level 8 here, and mostly we're looking for Galio, so that's gonna take away another unit that could benefit from the makeshift armor, because we're gonna have one less unit. And let's see. Okay, we sell the Seraphine here, that's kind of interesting. I think I was still trying to play Yone, maybe. Well, I should have probably just committed to Free Socialite and Fiora. But well, yeah, I mean, I guess we're gonna find another Seraphine, but that's kind of a weird play here. I mean, I understand it. Yone is probably my favorite champ this set, and I really like it. So kind of makes sense that I'm trying to play the comp, because in the end, if you're like a little bit confused while playing flexible, you're probably trying to go back to your main comp. But yeah, here I find the Galio, and yeah, look at my damage. Maybe Fiora is actually more useful than the Yone after all. So I think now I get it, and then I will make the pivot. And also, we're not gonna talk about the fact that I accidentally slammed an item on the wrong unit during the fight, so just ignore that. And definitely it doesn't make me have to sell Yone in the next fight so I can get the item on Fiora. That didn't happen. Okay, so I get Seraphine and I get Jace for Enforcer, so now I sell my units, put in the Galio, and just take a quick look how I can fit this all in. So you don't really need Challenger for Fiora, you only really need support units and the free Socialite. So yeah, I'm thinking about Jace because he's a nice frontline, but then I don't have the free Socialite, so we're probably just gonna leave it like that. Yeah, as I said, you don't need Challenger for Fiora, but Camille is just there because, I mean, it helps. It's not bad, but you don't necessarily need it. But she's upgraded, and we have this Orianna too that's upgraded, and also this Braum too, so you're not gonna put it out like a Braum 2 just to put in a Jace which gives you better synergies. Like, don't do that. So ideally we also want like Janna or something. But that's the big problem with Galio, and why I don't really like it is, yeah, it just takes 2 spaces, and I can't fit in like a Janna, I can't fit in Yuumi and all the nice support units of the end game. So it's always a little bit meh. So if you can get the augment where you get an extra Socialite, I mean, I pretty much always take it. It doesn't really matter if I know where the hex is or not. I will just play a comp accordingly. So if it's in the first 2 rows, I'm gonna play like Fiora, Urgot, or Yone. If it's in the back line, maybe I'm gonna play Kai'Sa, or I'm gonna play a Kali, or maybe also Urgot or Jhin. So only having to put in 2 Socialites and not a big fat Galio that takes away 2 spots is pretty nice. So you see us losing a couple rounds here, and yeah, as I said, our items are not perfect at all. We have, what, 2 Giant Slayer and a Jeweled Gauntlet on Fiora. That's not ideal, but what we have is 42 gold at 5-6, and that's our advantage, and that's our win condition. So there are 2 options how we could win here, and the first one is to go 9, and yeah, put in like Yuumi or just Janna or something nice. And the other thing is Fiora 3. I mean, we are so rich and we have a Nikos, so that's probably gonna be our win condition. So yeah, since I see a lot of people asking on Reddit or other YouTube videos, like when do I go 9 or when do I roll for a 3-star? So I think in this case it's relatively easy, but just so you know what I'm thinking, or what you should think about and look around is, first of all, check your opponents. Is anyone playing Fiora? If yes, then you go 9. Easy. And the other thing is, are they playing a lot of 4-costs too? Like this guy here, Seraphines and Yoni. So that depletes the pool of other 4-costs, so that's always also nice. Just means that there are more Fioras left for me. And yeah, I already start rolling because I just scouted and no one has any Fioras and there are 4-costs, so I'm just gonna roll for Fiora 3. Oh, and I definitely don't agree that I should have sold my chases here. I mean, I had 2 chase, and chase 2 is just better than brawn 2. Like, I lose bodyguard, but I get a chase 2, so that was definitely wrong on my end. Okay, now, so usually you want to slow roll at 8 and find your 4-cost that way. But since nobody's playing it and there are a lot of other 4-costs out, we hit like so many Fioras, so we only need 1. So obviously I'm gonna roll down until I find it. And let's see if we do. We pick up other 4-costs and just gonna increase our odds for Fiora. And well, there it is. Easy like that. So I can just Nico it. I mean, I could have kept rolling to maybe find a Yumi or another Fiora, but that's a pretty greedy play and I don't really like it because I still want to go 9. I mean, Fiora 3, probably a win condition in itself, but why not go 9 and just make 100% sure that I win? Because the other guys are also pretty healthy, like first and second spot, they're healthy, like they could just go 9 and find something crazy and then I could still lose. So now that I've hit, there's not really much to do. Gonna pick up some units, hold a little bit of something, but yeah, we're just gonna save up and fight some of these late game fights. I mean, Fiora 3, pretty exciting. And yeah, look at the other guy, Scout. I mean, if you got nothing to do, you might as well Scout. And I kind of want to bait him into thinking that I'm not going to put it on the socialite hex. But unless there's a Zephyr specifically on that hex, I guess I'm always going to put it there. And I want to put the Taric with the Redemption right next to it, so he can heal Fiora if he has to. And also Seraphine like a little bit in the corner, so she can ult like all the way to the other side of the board and hit my Fiora while she's targeting the enemy. So yeah, now it pretty much comes down to positioning. Oh, and this fight, yeah, it was actually kind of close. Shaco was pretty disgusting. But yeah, as I said, oftentimes late game is decided by positioning. So if you find yourself in a spot where you're like consistently only getting second or third, even though you think you're really strong, maybe you gotta work on your positioning. Because it really makes all the difference. Like oftentimes you're pretty much as strong as everybody else. So the first 3 players, it's pretty much open. Okay, so here we got a Morello. We definitely can't greet for Yumi a Morello or 9. So it was between Orianna, Seraphine and Galio. And yes, Orianna has the Shojin, but I still don't trust her to ult. And ult at the right spot, you know. Like she can just ult my team and just heal them. So I don't like Morello on Orianna, I think it's too inconsistent. And the other option was Seraphine, which is pretty nice, but she could get assassinated and not get a ult off. So don't really like that either. And although I kind of have some Clapio items on him, I think Galio is just gonna ult like 90% of the time, so he's gonna get the Morello, he can proc it on pretty much the entire team. So I think he's a good choice. And also there's a Blitzcrank, and yeah, I think my mouse cursor indicates that I wanted to swap Camille into the corner in the last second, but I didn't do it, but maybe for next time. So yeah, Seraphine gets hooked, so maybe she just dies before she ults when she gets one off here. But I don't know, it's too risky. He says, SS Galio didn't ult that fight because of Shroud. Man, I don't know, whatever. Probably the best thing would have been to find a replacement Orianna and put Shojin and Moira on Seraphine. And put a corner bait for Blitzcrank. Okay, so we're rolling it down like a madman here. Because it's probably the last fight and I don't want to drag this out any longer. So trying to find Galio 2 and Yumi 2. I didn't find anything. So I was just going to put in Yumi 1. And let's see if we can beat the assassin guy. So while it usually sucks to play against Assassin, I think it's really easy if it's only you versus the Assassin player. Put your front line to the back. I could have put even more to the back line, and the Assassin is just gonna get stuck on your front line, and you're gonna get an easy win. So that's it for today's video. Thank you guys for watching, and maybe try playing more flexible in your games if you want to. But as I said, it's not that easy, but give it a go. And other than that, maybe like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.